What's up? I have reduced the output of videos because there's not much going on. I mean, apart from World War III being more near every time, not much. I don't know what else can be important other than that. And no, of course I was just joking. A lot of things are going on all the time. Até a próxima.
É isso, amanhã.
And the matter of fact is, I've been doing other videos and interviews and then editing videos, so that's the real reason. And I just came off from work, heading home, and not all the time. I do enjoy doing these car videos, but I do enjoy more when I'm sitting at home and I have, I've mentioned this before. I can pull up news and statements and I can present you with proof. In the car, I can only do my ramblings out of memory. Hope you like them anyway. Finally I have decided to accept the monetization option on my YouTube channel. I haven't really read anything about it, but so if you see ads on my videos, now you know why, right? And I've decided to do it. I mean, the numbers I have, they will pay almost nothing, but nevertheless I will use whatever it pays to feed it back to the channel, trying to grow it. And I also would like your help to do it. If you enjoy the videos, please share them, or mention at least to someone. I would much appreciate. It takes a lot of work. Although I have to be honest with you, I've told you in the past and I tell you again that I am not happy with the work I do, right? I would love to have like free time, like not having to go to 8-hour, 12-hour shifts, and being able to dedicate myself to read more and go more in depth to the subjects I talk about. So yeah, it's videos made by a worker, proletariat. So, as you all know, this is I believe it's general knowledge now that a group of Western countries, including the United States and fucking Portugal, by the way, has green-lighted Ukraine to attack Russia deep inside its territory. And you think, oh, we are one step closer to World War III. This means escalation, which it does, but it does not, the actions do not correspond to the words in time-wise, because this escalation is already taking place before the words. Like pretty much else before, remember when all the promises of new weapons were being denied one after another and then released and allowed one after another. And then when they were allowed, they were already in there. So it means there was this time gap between words and actions. And yeah, at least it is worrying that the rhetoric, it's now open, it's accepted. It is worrying nevertheless, but in practical means should not, and I say should not, I'm very careful in choosing my words, should not change much. But there is one particular action that one has to consider very worrying. and several other aspects around it. And this action is the attack on the early warning systems of Russia. Early warning systems of Russia are part of its strategic defense against nuclear attacks, mainly. So, early warning, as the name itself says, it suits the purpose of warning sooner than later, so that the defenses can make adequate response and eventually people can take some measures to protect themselves. And Ukraine, well, when we say Ukraine, it was not really Ukraine, right? Ukraine is undercover base, badly undercover base, for the whole West in force, including the US, to attack Russia. So the West, we can say that, not Ukraine, but the West attacked some of these systems. And this is very worrying, because first of all, the mainstream media hardly spoke about it. It's one of the aspects, right? Second, as the mainstream media hardly spoke about it, there is a general feeling in the public that things are going as usual. That, okay, the weapons manufacturers are making a lot of money, they are lobbying for the war, people are dying, but they don't really care because it's far away from their home. Propagandists do their propaganda, business as usual, but not a big thing to think about. And this is what's worrying, because remember, some of you that might have lived during the Cold War, I have lived at least 13, 14 years of my life during the Cold War, and I do remember the conscience, the collective conscience about the menace of nuclear weapons. And this conscience was people were even aware in very small towns, in the very isolated Portugal of the early 80s. I grew up in such a small town, and I do remember this collective conscience, this collective awareness about this danger, right? And then not long after, during that period, you have Chernobyl blast, one of the reactors, and we know all the trouble that it caused and all the cancer increase around and all the pollution, we all know, and it was just a reactor. So we had present both children and adults, every age. This is also very important. We had present the real danger. We were aware of the real danger. The political leaders also seem to be aware of the real danger. But now we see it's a kind of zombie land. Zombie land, the kind of which is depicted in Brave New World, you know, the novel from Huxley. People are just going about their lives, you know, just doing their thing, and or worried about their jobs, and you hardly hear about the nuclear menace unless there is propaganda against Russia, which they say Putin is always threatening using his nuclear weapons. Okay, which is not true. And every time Russia mentioned its nuclear weapons was always according to their defensive doctrine. Let me underline defensive here. But now, when you see the West attacking early warning systems, like Ukraine on behalf of the West, or even the West, I mean the people who operated this equipment for the attacks, you see this, and you can easily suspect of a shaping up, a preparation of a new form of warfare. Because I cannot find any military explanation for Ukraine to attack such systems. It changes nothing. It changes absolutely nothing on the battlefield, and Ukraine keeps being on the run. And at the same time, these are systems that if you want to destroy them, you'll have to employ very expensive other systems, like Storm Shadows and ATACMS. And so this is easily you can see very clearly that this is the work of the West, of the collective West. The words of Joe Biden authorize. Joe Biden does not authorize anything. Joe Biden is a walking corpse. I mean, it's still, even some people that know this sometimes still come to me and say, oh, do you know what Joe Biden said? He said this and that. I have a hard time for a lot of people to hate Putin and then at the same time pay attention to what Joe Biden says. Joe Biden is a walking corpse, I repeat. He's not functioning anymore in a capable way to manage his underwear, let alone a household, let alone a country such as the US. So it's not Joe Biden, it's the de facto power in the US that decided that. And it seems that we are at the point where this kind of leadership in the US, I mean, spoiled oligarchs, no conscience whatsoever over reality, completely grew detached from reality due to their position in society with abundance of money and richness. They live in their mansions and their cocoons and in their inner private circles. And I think there is people, I start to think really that now there are some people with influence on the main governments, not only in the US, that believe that they can get away with a nuclear war. This is the main danger. When you lose respect towards nuclear weapons, when you are fearless, stupid fearless, like dumb fearless about them, we are at the stage of we can be really at the brink of extinction. I don't like to talk like that, I repeat, because throughout all my life I've met a lot of groups and a lot of people and a lot of weirdos that always trying to plant fear on people's minds with a different kind of purpose. And they always get these theories of the end of the world and a lot of this misinformation goes on. But now, if you have to think critically, and you see that an attack on an early warning strategic defense system, it's not something to dismiss lightly. And I guess we all have to be aware of it. That's why I make this video. We have to do our role. I know it's sometimes it seems fruitless. I mean, at least in my case, I do love the small audience I have, but it's we need to reach more people, right? We need to get a word across. We need to plant the seed of conscience that we are not dealing with any it's not business as usual, it's not wars like in the past. We are going on a steep course towards confrontation between nuclear superpowers. Because in the Western propaganda, another thing that maybe transmits feeling that gives away a feeling of safety and security in the West is that people still think, because of the propaganda, they still think that Russia is kind of isolated. It's like all the countries that matter in the world are all against Russia. And Russia has no allies. Russia is alone against a coalition of countries in the West, NATO, and being one of them, the most powerful country in the world, the United States of America. And this gives like a sense that maybe if they strike Russia, they will not respond, Russia will be defeated. That's the end of the story. They won't have capacity of response. Something like this, right? These are very dangerous ideas, because not only Russia has allies, not only Russia is not isolated, that it has actually, I dare to say, the majority of the world with her, or at least very tolerant of her actions. Not to mention the deepening of the relations between Russia and China. China, as you all know, it's the main industrial hub of the world, and Russia is the main resource hub of the world. This makes the perfect combination. And if you go to Asia, you have no hostilities from India towards Russia, and no hostilities, of course. You have good relations between China and Russia. So if it comes to conventional war and manpower, there's no lack of that within the group, within the BRICS, if you wish, within the BRIC countries. On the other hand, there is a lack of that on the West. So think about it. At the same time, Western interests are being threatened, mostly by their own fault. Western interests in Africa, colonial interests, if I may say so, by this bloc. And this is what I think it's making these people, of course, the war in Ukraine, which Russia is taking the upper hand, also contributes a lot to this. And so I think this makes this careless, weirdo oligarchs from the West lose their mind and make something stupid. These are narcissists, most of them. These are psychopaths. They have no empathy for, I mean, look at the way they talk lightly about mass open-air massacres like the one is taking place in Palestine. Draw your conclusions from that one. Okay, I'm sorry to be, it's kind of a dark theme, but I had to talk about this. And I really sincerely hope, and I say this because we never know, I see you on the next one.